Hello, everyone, and welcome to another show. Let's talk with Rodney. And today I have a wonderful and beautiful guest. What really struck out with me, Niyah, is that the fact that you are, when I look at the word activism and diversity and just caring about the children, I feel like that fits you perfectly. For the people who do not really know you and should know you, because I mean, you are to me the number one kid author ever. I purchased your book and having to send off to my nephew because I think that's very important. Your mission statement and all that good stuff. But just tell the people who you are and what is your purpose. Just a little snippet of what is your purpose. We'll go into everything tonight. Blaze, who are you?
Rodney, thank you so much for the intro, brother. I really appreciate you. And thank you for purchasing my book and making that investment in your nephew. That is going to just drive him for a lifetime. So for everybody that tuning in now, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Anna Nyakana. As Rodney mentioned, I am the author and creator of Niyah Zuri, the whole Niyah Zuri series. The first book in the series is actually Niyah Zuri and the Pharaoh's Throne. I'll throw it right there. And I am someone who was not okay with there not being enough books with representation, something that could give our kids self-knowledge, self-love. And those are things that were actually lacking when I was growing up. And instead of just complaining about it or it being something that was just a part of my memory bank, I decided to change the narrative, create a series of books that would actually highlight and spotlight girl empowerment and heroism. Also teach and expose our kids to all sorts of world culture and diversity, especially our children of color, who, let's admit it, we do not get the spotlight of our legacies throughout the year. And it was not okay with me it not being included in the curriculum. So I have been working tirelessly over the past 4 years to get my book into over 26 districts now across the US and in other foreign countries as well, because my mission and my purpose is to really ensure that children see a reflection of themselves in the books and also soon to be digital content that they actually interact with. It is our world and we should be recognized and we should be represented.
I think that is so beautiful. Another thing that I found fascinating about your story, you actually was not born in America.
No, I was not. My journey started long ago. I was actually born in Berlin, Germany. My mother is German Moldavian and my father is from Uganda. Uganda, stand up, which is East Africa.
So your last name is African, correct?
It is, yes. Nyakana or Nyakana. I'm from the tribe of Ankoli. So Ankoli, stand up too.
Okay, you know what? That is fun. It's so
I do a lot of shout outs.
You know what? I'm here for it because I feel like that's a part of you. I think it's so beautiful when I do meet other black people. You know, I'm just African American or just black people in general where they are from the homeland.
Yes.
And you truly have your true last name. It's not your master's last name, if you get what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Your last name is your last name.
How many individuals here in the U.S., especially around the world, but here in the U.S., and how many children don't know their true last name, right? Don't know the empires that they actually hail from. And at the same time, this isn't anything that is going to be instructed or educated to them, because during Black History Month, we're just taught about plantations and slavery and civil rights.
You learn about Malcolm X.
Thank you.
You learn about Harriet Tubman, and you learn about oh my Lord, I feel so bad. Martin Luther King.
Now listen, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., they were revolutionaries. Okay, Harriet Tubman, she was a rebel, right? Okay, they were in it for the right cause. But let's go back. Let's actually give that fulfillment to our kids to understand that they hail from the legacies of monarchies and that they are the creators of everything in history. The world exists because of them, and they should be aware of that. That's something that will give them that confidence. Let them be those leaders in their own lives, because once again, it's not spotlighted. And it was interesting growing up in the US because I knew where I came from. I knew my history, I knew my worth and my values. So as I was going through the education system here, I was not allowing it to brainwash me, but at the same time, I was always confused why our history wasn't glorified, why children of color, Black, Latino, everything in between, why our history is not glorified. We have contributed to every industry, every art form and creative effort imaginable. So once again, it was something that just was not acceptable to me. But I had to make sure that I wasn't just talking about it or complaining about it. I actually took the effort and took the time to change the narrative, create books, force it in the schools, whether they wanted it or not, you know, really beating down the doors because it was important that our history was taught and that we were bringing diversity back to the classroom.
And I think that's beautiful because I did see, I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but you moved to United States in 1986. What year was
it? No, I was
it?
born in 86. I moved to the U.S. in the 90s.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I knew it was one of them. I
in
said
the first grade.
Yeah, so with you moving here, were you able to remember the things you learned in where you was from? Was it like a big Black culture there? Was it more celebrated than it was in Germany than it is in America?
Funny enough, we actually had amazing culture in Germany. I grew up in the capital, which is Berlin. So it is like the art metropolis of Germany, right? There's graffiti everywhere. Music is celebrated. You could walk down the street and you just see, you know, a pop-up festival, or you'll see like people just painting and artists. You'll see dancers. You'll see musicians, and everyone is represented. It's kind of like a hot spot. It's like a hub, like a little Manhattan, and everybody from around the world is represented there. Outside of that bubble, not so much. So we assumed that coming to the US, we'd have that same type of diversity, that same type of mixture, but it wasn't. It was more like concentrated groups of people, and every single concentrated group was dealing with some sort of disparity. Especially myself, like I actually grew up in the projects in Stamford, Connecticut. And it was funny because I was speaking with someone so dear to me the other day saying that it is essentially a project. They were trying to see what type of contributions would come out of this. Let's put a liquor store 2 blocks away. Let's put a school that's technically in the same district as this high performing school, but let's not give them as many resources. And let's see how many of them end up in jail. How many of these girls end up with teen pregnancy. It's a project. So it was something that became more apparent to me and more aware as I matured. And once again, all of these indoctrinations and all of these processes and tests, right? Almost like we're living in a laboratory, really opened my eyes, and it kept me awake. And it made me more aware of the fact that I needed to do more to transform this world. I needed to have some sort of contribution, because the way that things were developing when I was growing up was not acceptable once again. So here's the thing, Rodney, you and I, we have an amazing opportunity because we're in positions where we are using our voices and people are listening. They're feeling uplifted, or maybe they're feeling inspired. Maybe it's for themselves, or it is for their kids or for their family. So let's make sure that we continue that work every day, because it's essential that our lives, our futures are not something that is tested on in a laboratory of this world. We should be the leaders. We should be the contributors to our culture, and we should be those leaders in our communities and spotlighted and glorified for who we are, instead of society trying to manipulate and dissect us and put us under a microscope to see if they throw certain factors on us and certain
how we overcome it.
Exactly. How are we going to overcome it? What is it that we're going to end up developing? I don't want anybody shifting my path, and everyone is entitled to their own path and finding that journey for themselves.
I think that's beautiful. One thing you hit it right on there, we talking about just being that creative and just really putting out content, radio, author, whatever you do in the media industry. People are looking up to you. And I think it's so important when we have children, especially because children are the future. Whitney Houston said it the best, like, children are the future. Like, once we get older, you know, God bless us see that. Children are going to be the ones that watched us are going to say, well, they did it this way. Let's see, can we make it better, or like follow footsteps after Niyah or Rodney, and just make it bigger than what they did. I think that's beautiful. And I feel like the fact you are writing a book about diversity, a book about any brown child, let's just say that, a brown child can look in that book and say, wow, I am from Kings and Queens. I am this, I am that. I can do anything I want to do, even though we hear it a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to say you were the first and you should definitely be the last, but it's your moment. This is your baby, and your baby is growing. And I know, I'm not saying, I know you are touching lives. Like the fact that your book are in curriculums, like that is so awesome. So let's talk about that. How did you get your book into a school system? Like, that's beautiful.
Thank you, Rodney. You know, I stayed consistently persistent. I just wouldn't take no for an answer. And when my book was first released, I was so optimistic because I knew that the message was needed, right? So I just assumed with my optimism, oh yeah, any school that I end up reaching out to is going to be bending over backwards to get this book and really implement into their curriculum. Sit with me side by side. Let's figure out these lessons plans. Let's figure out the themes each week, and let's do like a 3 or 4 week lesson plan for you. But it was actually the opposite. I received nothing but no's. I receive rejected emails, or we're not interested, or we don't have a budget. Even if I offered a solution to the budget issue by partnering with corporations, or
they don't want to teach Black.
They didn't want it anyway. They were afraid of the change. They were afraid of the conversations that was going to end up sparking. So all of these schools that said no to me inspired me to just continue to push ahead. I realized that not every door is really locked. Sometimes you just need to push. So I went to the schools that nobody cared about. I went to the schools in the hood. I went to the schools in the projects that people were running away from. And those schools didn't deny me. They said, we welcome you with open arms. Please, like, give us Niyah Zuri. And I would just actually volunteer my time. We would
Let me just stop you right there. What
Yes.
bothers me is what you said, which I think is a blessing in disguise. Like, I'm not saying I'm taking away, but what bothered for the school who did have the budget, for the schools, you know, who did have that probably, because let me tell you, this is what I kind of disagree with parents in a little bit, but sometimes I understand. You take your A student from this Black school, all right, and you move him into this white school, where now he's going to be a more disadvantage because he's going to be, people don't look like him, the teachers don't look like him, they cannot relate to him, and now he's competing with these other white kids, and now he's going to be less learning about his culture. And I feel like that's where the books need to go more for the population who have 5% Black students or Latino students or any other ethnicity that needs that more. Because we learn so much. In day one, we learn about European history.
Yeah.
Day one. You get what I'm saying? And now I have this student who is brilliant, a brilliant guy, but he don't even know who he don't know, or he or she doesn't even know who she is.
Exactly. So you exchange the quality of education with the knowledge of oneself. What is more valuable in life? Essentially, you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't know yourself, if you don't know thyself, how are you supposed to properly apply that knowledge? You don't understand your limitations. You don't understand your opportunities. You don't understand your possibilities. You don't know who you are. And we see that time and time again. Parents will take their kids and put them in a different district because they want the higher quality education. But what about the social issues and the mental issues of not being able to fit in, possibly of being bullied? And not necessarily that it has to be a negative thing either, but also maybe losing your identity. Losing the identity that you even had the foundation of from your household in the first place. Now you're conforming and becoming someone you're not even of. You're almost changing your genetic identity because there's nothing else to balance it out. Well, here's something that can balance it out. This is not just a book for schools that are underprivileged or schools that are 99% a minority, right? This is for all schools. This is to open up the floodgates of the conversation of why diversity is important, why multiculturalism should be not just talked about in a single month or two. Our culture, we have really contributed to everything in life. So this should be something that is embedded throughout the school year, right? Throughout 365, not just at school, also at home. I have so many readers and they come from every single nationality and every racial group because they understand that this is going to make their child more well-rounded, either knowledge yourself or knowledge of a culture different than their own, right? I actually said this recently on an interview this week. What a different 2020 we would have, Rodney, if all these individuals that are creating all these atrocities out of ignorance and out of prejudice, right, would actually have empathy and understanding of someone that looks different from them, that sounds different from them, right? That drinks a different beverage that maybe is only available to them, or that likes a certain type of food with certain type of spice. They wouldn't turn their nose up and make us, an ignorant comment about that could lead to something else. No, they would embrace it, like, oh, that looks interesting. Teach me about your culture. What type of food is this? What's this dish? What's this drink? Put me on. Like, I want to learn. Like, I embrace you. Because at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters. The things that make us who we are on the outside should not be the things that define us inwardly, right? And no one is really looking inwardly. And it's hard to kind of create that conditioning in a mind of someone who's already set in their ways, right? Someone 30, 40, 50 years old, like, you are set in your ways at that point. Yes, you can grow. Yes, you can sharpen, but your foundational understanding, you would completely have to go into the monasteries of Tibet to strip yourself of your foundation to rebuild yourself. If we're really going to go hardcore, yes, it can be done, but you have to be committed and disciplined to that.
You have to
completely break down. Now, why do that? Why don't we actually see that we have the opportunity to build our youth in the correct way? Build them up of knowledge of self, love and empathy of those around them, now they're growing up to become more well-rounded individuals, people that are sincere, people that look at the inward of an individual. That's what the Niyah Zuri movement and the mission.
I think that's beautiful. Let me ask you this, because you are biracial. Do you feel like you being biracial was a bigger need for you to push this narrative that needs to be pushed anyway? Or do you feel like this is something that was born in you? You just wanted to get it out there? What is something that happened in your life earlier that made you want to like learn more about your dad's side versus your mom's side? You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. And it's interesting that you say that. This has only been like maybe the second interview in my entire career where someone has asked me a question about being biracial. I actually don't consider myself biracial. I consider myself a woman of color. I consider myself an African woman. Coming here to the US, I really had to like choose sides, right? You check one box. You have like 5 boxes. Do you check black? Do you check white? Do you check Hispanic, Asian? Sometimes there would be an other. And when there was an other, I would check it and I would put in my culture. I would put in my nationality. I would put Ugandan, German, Moldavian. But as the years progressed, that other box went away. And usually you had to check 1. And whenever I checked 2, I noticed that the school system or whomever I was filling out the form would always check the dominant race. So they would put it down as white. It could be on a driver's license. It could be on a school ID. So I stopped doing that because at the end of the day, we all come from the same source. We come from the origin. I'm not denying any part of me. I'm just seeing it for what it is. And at the end of the day, if we really want to get technical, we're all African. We're all human. We're all from the same origin of space. So knowing that and understanding that I'm actually in a really interesting position because I'm a woman of the world. I have this understanding of how we're actually all connected. So not seeing myself as biracial where I'm half one way or half one way. I actually accept myself for the wholeness of who I am. So if I can accept myself for the wholeness of who I am without denying either part of me, then I should be able to inspire every child and every individual to also see someone as the wholeness of who they are. So my biracial, as you said, biracial background did put me in a very interesting positioning because it helped me to understand these philosophies and fundamentally who I was and who the world saw me as. So I can finally identify myself for who I am and tell the world who I am instead of the world classifying me.
You know what? The reason why I asked you that, because when you told me you had difficulty going into certain schools, and people, well, let me say some people, okay, feel like when you are a lighter hue, you just have this privilege, and you just told the world that that I didn't get a yes because of how I looked. I had to go work hard just like the next person. I wish, and that's a whole other thing that Black people stop doing in general. Black is Black. It doesn't matter what color you are, how you look, what your features are, you're Black. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like that's a whole plantation slave mentality as well too.
We can dig into that too, because colorism and being judged by your hue and being judged by your status of that is something else that was systematically created to separate us.
Exactly.
Because there's danger in us actually being unified, right?
It is. Yeah. And and all these woke people, and I'd be like, y'all are not that woke if you don't understand that. Y'all still let master control your thinking. But the word for you just give me this resilient woman who just really doesn't understand barriers. You break down barriers. So for any little girl or boy watching this interview now, or just reading, or any parent who's looking at want to buy your book for their child, and I see a couple of parents who tune in and say, "Oh my God, I love this." What is your message to them?
You are limitless. You are limitless. Don't allow the world to limit your possibilities. Assign the value to yourself and understand that anything that you can think, you can do, and you can become. And you can do that now in the present. Don't even allow your age to stop you from fulfilling a dream or a purpose or a calling that you know is something that is rooted in you. We believe in you and we want to see you succeed. First, you need to see that for yourself. See that success for yourself, envision it, feel that emblazoned in your mind, feel it warm in your chest and your heart, and understand that you will be radiating. And with that radiation and with that shine, you will be telling the entire world who you are. Let us know your name, and let us know your name today.
Sister, That you speak to everyone. I just love the way you speak. Oh, I love it.
Oh,
I just love it. I just
part of
really,
what I
really
do is
love it.
also I'm a motivational speaker. I also breathe life into the youth. You know, it goes along with the book. I also have these set of truths called the fundamental truths of Niyah Zuri. And if we have time, I'll quickly jump into them. And those truths are really the pillars of what I do in the schools. Yes, I go and I also speak about the book. I do like a classic author visit. I'll read from the book. We'll talk about themes. We'll talk about how important it is to be a heroine or a hero in your own life, especially to my girls, right? Not being that damsel in distress or that princess waiting for someone to save you. Like, use your mind, use your critical thinking and save yourself. Like, problem solve, young girl, problem solve. And with that said, I use the fundamental truths to breathe life into the kids because in addition to not having representation in books or in media, cartoons, anything like that, no one was also taking time to come to my school because of the part of town that it was in. And because of the fact that we didn't have a budget and there wasn't a lot of potential there. Why include that potential into your itinerary if you feel that it's going to go nowhere, right? So it left us always just doing the standard curriculum day to day without having anything that made us feel special. Right. So it's important to me that every child understands how special they are. So I came up with these fundamental truths to also be able to uplift our youth and motivate them and have them be inspired to reach their fullest potential and understand that they assign that value to themselves and how worthy they are. And like I said, when you first asked me, what would I tell any child or parent thinking of getting this book for their child? Also the themes and the fundamentals of Niyah Zuri, because Niyah Zuri actually means beautiful purpose. And I did that on purpose to inspire adults, children, everyone that really taps in with the books and the movement is to live purposefully. Purposely means with focus, with intention. Don't just be floating around lackadaisical in this 2020. Like you have, you know, you have no path or no, like you have a purpose, you have an essence. Figure out what your purpose is on this earth and let's apply it. Let's be contributors. That's how we progress. That's how we transform this world. That's how we ensure that we are really fixing the errors of people from the past and fixing those errors for the present and for the future youth to inherit. That is really what it's all about, Rodney. It's bigger than us. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. You know, it's about all of us. It's about that wholeness of society.
Collectiveness. Yeah.
Exactly. But once again, we've got to, you know, put those seeds and plant those seeds in our youth now. If they understand that now and they can be empowered, they will be 10 times the individual I am or you are. Not only that, they will actually end up being a collective.
Exactly.
That's what we need. That's what
we really, I feel like, you know, we need more collaborations when it comes to just to being people of color. We need to understand that. I made a comment, and if you may let me say this real quick.
Okay.
I remember when the Latino community or the Hispanic or Spanish community, when them kids was in cages in Texas.
Yep.
You know, I had to sit back and look at myself, reevaluate myself. Like I knew it was wrong. But did I make a post like I did for Black Lives Matter? Did I make a post or did I make an outcry that I go march, do any of those things? But you know, when I have to Black person, we all want everyone, the whole world to stop. Well, now let me say this: Black people did build America, and for other ethnicities to come here and get here and put their roots, I would never deny that. I cannot deny that. But we have to learn. It takes a collective. It takes a group of people to make change. We can't always want help with us, and we don't care about. Not saying we don't care. We don't have the same voice. If it was our own, and I had to sit there, you know what? I'm going to start doing better as myself, learning other cultures and learning what are their needs and issues. Because it takes a village. We're all in one village. We go to the same school. We had the same problems. You never know because we never asked which cross that aisle. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's where we're going to write your book as well, because you talk about different ethnicities, and I think that's beautiful. Because I feel like I know that it takes everyone. Just like you say, you don't say something wrong, right? You a whole person. We're a whole. So until we learn that in our mind, we will always be behind and always trying to wonder why we're not good enough, why we're not this, and why we're not that. You know, this figure could be Black, white, Asian, but it makes a fist together. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's how we need to be in general. And I just had to say that because I really feel like if Black people start noticing other things, we will get more when it comes to us needing help and vice versa. it won't be a question asked. It won't be anything. We'll just automatically do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what an incredible 2020 it's actually been. That
Exactly.
statement seems strange to you, but I say incredible because I have never personally witnessed a time in American history where more Black people are finally supporting and pulling up for each other, coming through for each other, tapping into their podcasts, tapping into their products, tapping into their books, tapping into their music, their artistry, their businesses, their services, and most importantly, their voice. We're listening to one another now more. We're brainstorming together. We're understanding that we do need to create more of that collaborative group and effort and that unification. Now, we can't get comfortable as things maybe change or improve, right? Especially with COVID and everything else going on. Understand the atrocities that we were marching for in the first half of this year are still happening every day. Understand that we need to support our own better. Not until we really support our own and ourselves. First, support yourself, right? Then let's support our own. And then from our own, we can finally have that respect and understanding and our stand in this world stage. Now we can talk about really figuring out how to have more of that global unification and wholeness. But you can't have any sort of global unification or wholeness if there are still certain groups and individuals and pockets of people that are under oppression, right? That are still being segregated with other systems in place that we don't even recognize, different projects that are still happening.
Exactly.
Right? We have to literally like tear all that down, and it takes time, it takes effort. But I've never seen a time more than this 2020 where we're finally ready to roll up those sleeves. We're finally ready to put in that work.
Put in the work.
Yes, look at the conversation that we're having now. This isn't just a traditional, tell me why you wrote the book. This is really like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the themes. Let's talk about the things that you're working to inspire the youth. What is it that you're awakening them to? And honestly, in my book, there's a lot of subliminal messaging, especially for any kid that is motivated and that is understanding of other things that could be happening in their communities so they could be aware of it, right? And I put these seeds in there for children that are a little bit more aware. And if you're not aware, that's okay too. Hopefully the parent that's reading it with you or the educator that's teaching it in the classroom will say, wait a minute, Niyah lives on Lotus Drive. What is this lotus? What's a lotus flower for? That's very significant. In the rest of the world, doesn't the lotus flower mean an awakening of consciousness? Okay, everybody, this week we're going to talk about consciousness. Let's talk about mindfulness, everyone. What is consciousness, right? And just spark that effort going forward.
I think that's so important. Like, when I tell you, I thoroughly enjoyed this interview, and I was just so happy when you came across my platform. I was like, oh my God, because I never heard of you, honestly. And then when I researched you, I thought that's why it's good when you have platform. You just spread your message. I fell in love with you. I was like, this lady is really out there doing it. She's not saying it, but she putting the work with her actions. Does that make, and that's what you're doing. And I truly feel like, even when other authors, like I said, have books like yours, but I just wish to come a place where, we all can come and just get our message out there, even collaborations, and just make it bigger. I think that's beautiful. But for one, I do want to see your book in every classroom. I truly do. Because your message is pure, your message is there, and we can't take that away from you. You know what I mean? And if you can leave us with one golden nugget, which you dropped so many, I know you got another one in you. What?
One, right?
What would that one golden nugget that you would like to share with the audience today?
Oh, it can't just be one. Okay. There's one golden nugget. Believe in yourself. I'm going to keep it simple and say, believe in yourself, because at the root and at the core of Niyah Zuri and the messaging of being purposeful and being intentional and being a contributor to society and transforming the world and believing in yourself is really the root of it all. Belief in oneself means that you believe that you're valuable. If you're valuable, you will take the time to research and learn who you are, where you come from, your ancestors that hailed before you, so you can gain that strength and tap into that spirit, so you can be purposeful in your own destiny and make that contribution to the world that we need. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has a purpose. Let it be known. Say your name. But with all of that said, believe in yourself.
Yeah, so now this is our guest spotlight section where
Okay.
you just get out of your business. So like, what's
Okay.
going on with you, and like, where can people like what's just what? Just plug yourself. Like, what you have
Plug
going on?
myself. Okay, I'll plug myself.
Yes.
Before I plug myself, though, I see a lot of comments coming through, and I just have to stop. And I think you already know what I'm going to say. I have to stop and thank my tribe. So shout out to the Niyah Zuri tribe. Shout out to all of you. I love you. Thank you for pulling up for me each and every day. Rodney, you are officially part of the tribe. Thank you for pulling up.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. My tribe, your tribe is all about that collective in a village. So shout out to everyone. I don't know how I can pull up these comments to see everybody in. You could probably see everyone's names before I do. Desiree Lee, thank you. Yes, plant the seed. OnStar Godlight, I saw you in here too. There were so many names flashing, was too quick. Black Cinderella, thank you. Limitless, yes, there's so many pulling up, and we thank you. Carl Brown, thank you for pulling up and tapping in. Thank you all. So shout out to the Niyah Zuri tribe real quick. Cassandra Bond, yes, we loved you too. So with all that said, you can find me on all social media platforms at Niyah Zuri, which is seen right here in the title, NIYAH_Zuri, ZURI. And you can also find all of my books. I also have apparel that I actually launched during this quarantine. So kids and adults alike can actually wear a lot of these Niyah Zuri affirmations, and they can wear it and feel, you know, themselves being empowered and really remind themselves as they see themselves in the mirror that they should never dim their light, and that they come from that royalty mentality and legacy, right? So with that said, I have my books on there. Anything that you ordered, remember, it's actually going to be personalized by me versus getting it on Amazon or anywhere else. I will actually autograph and make the book out to any child. So when you said you ordered it for your nephew, did you order it from my website, Rodney? I'm putting you on blast.
I ordered on Amazon.
Oh, return it. No, I'm joking. It's okay.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not a liar.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie.
Did you already give it to your nephew?
No, it's being actually mailed. You know, I put. You know, you pay for
Okay.
it. And it's
You know what?
Yeah.
Email me your address. I'll send you another copy for him. Okay.
Okay.
Just give me email me your address and email me his name, and I'll give that to him so we can continue that work.
Yes.
I always feel that when a child sees their name in a book, they know it's just for them. They are more curious to see what the message is. Like, this is meant for me. I'm going to read this. I'm reading it this weekend, right? So get that to me and I'll get that over to him. So you can go to my website, www.annanyakana.com, get the book, grab some merch, and I have tons of free downloadable resources. So educators, parents, you want some crossword puzzles, you want some story mapping, maybe you want to do like a writer's workshop, just go on my site. Everything is there for free. You can download it, print it out, or do it right on the screen.
And the word you got is free, so don't be complaining.
Right, baby.
She didn't be charging, but but that's her. So it's free. But one thing, you know what, you did touch on, so I want to touch on it real quick. What did this quarantine do to your creativity? Like your creativity, what did it do to you? Like, just touch on that really quick before we go.
Oh, yes. You know, I always consider myself disciplined, but the quarantine inspired me to become super disciplined. It also, a lot of the time, right? And at the same time, we actually already had this time, but I'll say it for what it was. It allotted the time for me to also remember myself, to do some more inner work. You know, I exude at a very high frequency because of the energy that I want to give into my work, whether it's speaking, whether it's reading, creating, writing. So really the quarantine helped me focus on my inner self, and also in that translation, be able to output at a higher frequency so I could be even more disciplined and more focused. And it's amazing because I always have a million things going on, but now I really have a lot going on, but it's done with a level of excellence. So we can once again be those examples in our communities of the quality that we can output, right? The quarantine has been a blessing. And I want to encourage everyone, you don't have to just survive this quarantine. You can thrive, do the work, invest in yourself, and then figure out what it is that you want to contribute to this world as an investment. We're here to support you. Lean on your network, lean on your circle, lean on your family, and use your voice. If you're not using your voice, we don't know how we can even support you. So show us your passion and create that opportunity for us to fill that void and be those lifters of you.
Just thank you so much. And for the people, that's tuning in, she actually has her true last name. And can you just tell the people your last name again and what it means, or like the meaning behind it and all that?
So my last name is Nyakana. The pronunciation is Nyakana. It comes from the tribe of Ankoli in southwestern Uganda. So Ankoli, stand up. we were and are a very big kingdom of Uganda. We had 5 main kingdoms there before the English came and chopped it all up. But it's important to know yourself and understand that if you don't know your true last name, you give yourself the last name that you feel that you deserve. But it takes that journey. It takes that time and that inner work to figure out who you feel that you are and to finally break down the conditioning that we've had, especially in this American society since birth, because it really starts young. My 5-year-old is learning about Columbus Day. I know I had to put him on to the truth very early.
Exactly.
To be aware of this, right? And not glorify criminals and pirates from our past, but really understand true history, how it all works and how that applies to him. So if you don't feel like you have a last name that you even reverberate with, do that inner work and assign yourself the name that you know that you deserve. So thank you, Rodney, for this platform. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for having me on here and the quality of guests that you have on here. It's amazing for us to be able to contribute to society in a positive way, but if there's no one there to actually spotlight it, no one will know. So thank you for the work that you do. It's so vital.
Thank you for coming. Like I said, I know my team. I know that I don't have a tribe name yet, but I just know.
You're going to come up with one. After this, we're going to brainstorm.
I know. I saw they just fell in love with you, and like I fell in love as well. Like what you're doing is beautiful, and just thank you for coming on. And I'm gonna be following you. I really am. I'm hooked. So I'm gonna keep going on.
At Niyah Zuri, grab the book. The second book, Niyah Zuri in the Mayan Eclipse, is coming out soon. I'm like more than halfway finishing it. And then I'm also taking the base of the books and I'm launching an animated cartoon series called Adventures with Niyah Zuri. So I'll be pitching that. COVID's not going to stop me. I'm going to figure out a way to get to all these networks. But yes, so we'll be bringing this now to digital content and to screens everywhere. It won't just be entertaining. It will be an educational resource for your young readers and your young learners.
Yes. Oh. Many blessings to you.
Thank you.
Many blessings. Thank you so much for coming on. And we have a last come out. And, you know, he's part of my tribe.
Hey, you see, you got to try. You got to try, Rodney. You have a people. You have a people. We appreciate you, Carl. Thank you so much, Carl Brown.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And you stay blessed. And just be blessed. And just thankful for everything that you're doing.
Thank you, Rodney. Peace to you. Let's stay progressive.
Yes, and all right, guys, I'll see you next week, same time at 8 p.m. Then we're going on a break, but, you know, I'll see you guys next week.